All right, well, why don't I welcome you all to the September 16th, 2021 Town of Concord Historic Districts Commission meeting. We're calling the meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. and I do so declare. We'll review, I think, 6 new applications tonight. We have no continuances. Is it 6 or 5? Anyway, and we'll also do some additional business at the end of the meeting. So let me do a quick roll call of the commission members present. So if you would say aye when I call you, let's do that. Luis?
Aye.
Melinda?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
And I think that's it, correct? I'm the 5th aye. So we have quorum. But Abigail had her baby, so she's out down for the count for a few weeks, at least, till I start hassling her again. And Paul may dial in, I think. He may be
No Nia tonight?
Nia's in
Colorado.
with her grandbaby.
Oh.
Grandkids.
Yeah. Okay.
A busy committee. So we're conducting the meeting online in accordance with the Commonwealth of Mass Executive Order, suspending and extending certain provisions of open meeting law online. The public may access this call through telephone and video. Members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment on applications and discussions following the petitioner's presentation and questions from the commission. To do so, please raise your hand in the participant function of the Zoom platform. If you're calling in and cannot use Zoom, just raise your hand by dialing *9 or just wave at us if you're on, and we'll find you one way or another. I think our host, Heather, will mute microphones for folks not speaking in order to minimize confusion. But if folks would all actually please remember to just mute yourself if you're not speaking, that would help us out too. I will call on each commissioner for comments following an applicant's presentation. And we may have a little bit of a discussion, then we'll open it up for public comment. Once there's no more public comment, I'll bring it back to the commission for a motion to continue, approve with conditions, or disapprove. I'll ask for a second and we'll conduct a roll call vote. And once the commission has acted on an application, the applicant is free to go. So is that pretty clear? Our Zoom process? All right, so we're being recorded, just so you all know. Okay, why don't we just go ahead and get started? Our first applicant, 97 Lowell Road. Actually, hang on a second. Is there anything else people wanted to add to the agenda? Luis, I was going to ask you to give a quick report of the Wednesday chairs meeting, but at the end.
Okay.
Do you mind? Okay.
Yeah, not at all. Certainly.
Thank you. All right, 97 Lowell Road. This is the military offices. This is an application to install signage. And I see John here. John, are you presenting?
Yeah, Jim.
Jim, sorry.
That's okay.
Forgive me. I've had lunch with a John today.
No,
Not that. Okay, that came out wrong. Never mind. All right. It's been a long day. All right, Jim, welcome back. And would you mind walking us through the application, please?
Sure. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Well, it's nice to see you all. My name is Jim White. I am here representing the applicant, military offices. This is for signs for our new tenant, Compass Real Estate. We're glad to have them join us at Millbrook Terry. They're asking for 2 signs, one on Lowell Road and one on the parking lot side, as shown on your application materials. You can scroll through them. I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing. This is the one on the Lowell Road side, and the parking lot side is that one right there. And the materials are described in the submission made to you. There are 2 representatives from Compass here tonight if you have questions about the signs. But that's basically it. We're asking you to approve these 2 signs as the materials presented show.
All right, thank you, Jim. And are the materials all noted? I don't think do we have these drawings, Heather? Are they on the site?
Yes, these are on the website.
Oh, there they are. Okay. It's all right. Never mind. Drew a blank there. So the materials are noted here. This is their aluminum face acrylic letters. Pretty straightforward. Can everyone see the materials here? There's the graphics. The signs are there dimensions here? That's the only question. Yep, there they are.
Mhm.
6 feet by 20 inches. All right, I think I've got a pretty good picture. Jim, thank you. Let me just go around and see if the commissioners have any comments, which no doubt they will, of course. Luis,
The,
thoughts?
the only concern that I have is the material made of aluminum, because sometimes the aluminum has certain shines and things that make it behave as it's clearly a metallic thing. And it would be nicer, especially in a historic district, if it gives the impression that it's made out of natural materials, such as wood or even plastic that simulates wood. So that's the only concern I have. Other than that, from an aesthetics standpoint, I think it's fine.
Thank you, Luis. Melinda. You're muted though. You have to unmute yourself.
Sorry.
There you
So
go.
I'm looking at this and I'm looking at the side door, which is 6 feet by, I can't quite see.
20 inches.
Okay, 20 inches. That doesn't bother me. But when I go back and look at the other one, which is 10 feet, it's hard for me to remember what the size of the other signs on this building are, but that seems large. And this faces Lowell Road. Is that correct?
It's on both Lowell Road and on the parking lot side.
Yeah, but
but-
the signs are different sizes. So the one
Yes, they are.
So the one I'm talking about is facing, that's 10 feet across,
It's,
is actually facing Lowell Road. Is that correct?
no, it's facing the parking lot.
Is that, I know you're saying that, Louis, but is that what he's saying? too?
Yes, yes. Well, at least the one I see here is facing the parking lot with the part of the building that sort of juts out on the second floor.
Oh, okay, okay. But I guess I don't understand why this one is so much bigger than the other one.
This space that the tenant occupies is that whole top floor, which is 72 feet long. And what they want to do is identify that as compass space and not have it confused with the cafe underneath. So it's not just that part, it's that whole top floor you're
I
looking
see,
at.
I see. Okay, so, all right, so right around the corner or underneath this is the cafe?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know, that still seems a little large to me, but I'm happy to listen to the other commissioners and see what they say.
Jim, on the third page of the document, it shows an aerial view that might
Who's
provide
that
some
speaking?
direction.
All right.
This is Solace Berkheimer. I'm representing Compass.
Oh, hi, Solace. All
Hi.
right. Oh, there it is. The aerial shows the locations of the two
Yep.
signs. Yep. Okay, got it. All right. Thank you, Melinda. Dennis, what do you think?
I don't have any problems. I just wish I could see what the other signage looked like to do a comparison of how this matches up with what is already there. Are we to assume you put this in proportion with other signs that are on the building so it isn't any larger or smaller than what's already there?
Personally, I think it's consistent with the other signage on the building. Well, anyhow, I mean, yes, the answer is it is, in my view, consistent with the rest of the building. There's two signs on this side of the building that we're looking at now. One is the circular sign for the cafe, and then there is the sign for Concord Chiropractic, which is comparable in terms of scale to for the size of the space that he has, and then this space, which is larger.
Okay, thanks.
All right. And thank you, Dennis. Kate, what do you think? Oh, can't hear you though.
I agree with Melinda. I think it's a little too big. I don't know why it's so big. And I would, the Millbrook Terry sign itself is huge. I think we all thought maybe we should have approved something a little smaller. So even if it is,
in proportion to that sign, that sign's too big. And so I wouldn't want this to, be this continuing, rollover effect of like, oh, well, it's this size, it's that size, it's that size. I just think they're both a little too big. I don't understand why the one facing the parking lot. I mean, I get what Jim just said. It's that facade is 72 feet long, but that's the whole building. That's not.
No, it's not the whole building. It's
Is
just
that
what you're
that
looking at right
projection,
there.
72 feet?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big space.
Wow. Well, still, that's a big sign. So I'm with Melinda. I'm hesitant about having it there.
All right, well, I'm personally, as we speak, I'm looking at Google Earth and the sun, so I guess am I the last one to go? I
Yeah.
think I am. The sign on the Lowell roadside actually looks okay proportion wise because there are other signs about the same size. Now, I don't know, I can't see any dimensions there, but they do look about the same. The parking lot side, Jim, there aren't any other, there's the sign for the cafe, right? And then I think there aren't any other signs.
No, there's the chiropractor's got a sign there too.
Okay. So this is a little bit of a new direction signage wise for the back of the building, just because.
Yeah, there's the cafe sign there.
Yeah. So it's that's kind of a round on a blade. And so it would go there. There's that projection there. It would set a bit of a new precedent. I mean, you're potentially setting up your future other tenants to want similar size signs.
Yeah.
Peter, can I comment on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I wouldn't worry about the other tenants. This is a 4,000 square foot space on that floor, and it's big. I think that the purpose of signage is to let people know they're there. Compass is really a good national tenant. That this sign is on the parking lot side of the building, and I think you don't want to get it too small because it will not serve the purpose of telling people that Compass is there. But in terms of other tenants, there's nothing approaching 4,000 square feet that would justify a larger sign.
Yeah, I mean, this is my personal opinion. I think it's a very handsome design. I think I do hear Luis's caution about, I want it to be too shiny. It does say enamel. I don't know if there's a way of getting a kind of matte black as opposed to a sort of high gloss black, just so you don't get the sunlight reflection. But the scale of it doesn't bother me terribly. That's me. So, any other comments from commissioners before we open it up to public comment? I see a whole lot of no there. No further questions. All right, well, why don't we open this up to public comment and then we'll bring it back to the commission. Is there any public comment on the proposed signage at 97 Lowell Road for Compass? I'm looking around for hands. I see no hands, Heather. Any hands? Nope. Okay, well, let's bring it back. So I'd like to see if we can get to a vote. So let me just make sure I have heard everyone. Luis, your concern was primarily about the sheen of the black.
That is correct. And I believe that if this application were to be approved, that has to be a part of the approval, that the background of the sign will be with a matte finishing, whether it is black or the color that Compass uses for their background, but it has to be matte.
Jim, are you amenable to that? I think it just says black enamel finish. It doesn't tell us the level of.
I am amenable to it. Let me ask the Compass representatives if they have any problem with that from Compass's point of view. Solus or Amy?
This is Amy from Compass. Nope, not at all. We
Okay.
are totally fine with that. We could even go wood if that's the preference.
That would make
Okay.
Luis very happy.
Well, that is certainly a big advantage. If you make it wood, then you don't have to worry about the enamel and anything like that. So are you willing to make that that change? Maybe you should check with your signage person.
We've actually already spoke, this is Solid Berkheimer again. We already spoke to our vendor about it, and they said they could also do the wood. We are willing to make it work with whatever aesthetic is preferred in the building. We do like to go with the materials we propose though, because of the durability. They last a little better against weather.
Agreed. Okay, so Melinda, what do you think about your primary comment was about the size of the Lowell Road sign, correct?
I still think it's too large. I think you could take it down a foot or two and it would have as much impact. And I agree that we're opening to future tenants. We don't know how long Compass is going to be in there or anybody else. And you set the precedent, and then it's very hard to change after that.
Oh, so hang on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It was the parking lot side, not the
Parking lot
lower. Okay, the lower road size was fine, 6 by 20 inches.
Yes.
Parking lot sign. I'm not sure it could come down by a couple of feet, but maybe, maybe if it were 24 inches high as opposed to 20, I forget what it is here, 37 or something, and just shrank proportionally. It is a little bit, it's a little crowded to the sill. That is true now that I look at it again. It's a little bit. Solace, is there a standard size you're looking for here?
Amy, I don't know if you want to speak to that, but I mean, ideally, we have a space that you still have optimum visibility of the brand.
Mm-hmm. Can we talk you out of a few inches?
If needed.
Yeah.
So I would suggest a compromise where you just proportionally shrink it down to 2 feet as opposed to 2 feet 9 high. So that would take 9 inches off and it would shrink it, but it wouldn't, I think it would still be a fairly dramatic sign. I think it would still occupy that space nicely. It would just give a little more space below the sill, and I think would help address some concerns about general size and visibility. Would that be agreeable?
Solace, it looks to me like it's 33 inches high now, and you're talking about maybe reducing it to 30 inches or something like that.
Yeah, 30 or 20.
Well, actually 30 inches is only a 3-inch.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, more like 24, like if we dropped it by, how many is that? Or maybe 28 or something. If we took it down 6 inches. So
that's fine with me. It's up to Compass what they're comfortable with.
So it went down to 26 inches as opposed to 33.
One thing that I want to note is, per our branding, the proportions that are on the sign currently are scaled. So when we make the black smaller, just so the team is aware, the white lettering also gets smaller.
Okay. Well, it seems to me if it came down just a little bit, we're talking about what a percent reduction there. It's sort of a 5 or 10% reduction. I don't think it would dramatically change, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think we can work with that, and I think the goal is for the black part of it to become smaller, right? The entire sign. I think we can work around that. Maybe we can like bring the size down, and the word can still be on the sign, like bigger, so it's not exactly to this proportion, just so there's the maximum visibility and the sign gets smaller.
Okay, well, we would just want to see whatever the final design is beforehand, but that sounds like a good enough compromise in my opinion. Kate, does that sort of address your concern, or what do you think?
Yeah, it moves in the right direction. I just think, I understand the point of a sign is to call attention to the business, but the point of a Historic Districts Commission is to kind of keep a grip on proportion. And I think it's little billboardy, and if there were to be one other one, it would take one other tenant, then it's, a different ball of wax. So yeah, if it could come down all around by half a foot and the letters with it, the proportion, I think that'd be more appropriate.
Okay.
But I tend,
Dennis,
I'm
Sorry.
on the same page with Melinda, so, you know, I share her same concerns.
Dennis, what do you think?
Frankly, I have no concerns, but if other members do, I'll go along with it.
Thank you, Dennis.
All right, well, I feel like what I'm working us to is a compromise position where we're gonna leave the Lowell Road sign as presented. Both of the blacks are gonna be a matte finish. I think aluminum is probably fine. I don't really object to the aluminum, especially because this is a kind of contemporary building. And I think if we reduce the proportion of the parking lot sign by 6 inches, I think it's going to be 6 inches probably all around. And if the letters could come down proportionally, that would be great.
Peter, wasn't Cambridge Trust, isn't that sign aluminum?
I believe it is.
I think it is, since, you know, and so that one, I'm not as concerned, Luis. Normally I
Yeah.
would be, but that sign came up quite well. I know Lacoste Gallery has that composite that looks a lot like hardwood, and that's worked out well,
And
but
these signs, pardon me, sorry, these signs are not lit, correct? They're
No, they're not lit.
just lit by parking lot. They're ambient parking lot light. Okay. Well, I feel like we're nearing consensus here. So why don't I ask for a motion from the commission, if I could? I can't make a motion.
I move that we approve the application of 97 Lowell Road with a sign facing Lowell Road as proposed, and with the sign facing the parking lot to be diminished in size such that its height is no larger than 2 feet 3 inches, and the rest of the sign be shrunk proportionally, and that the finishing would be made with a matte finishing with a non-reflective background.
All right, and may I get a second on that?
a second.
All right, thank you. And let me just go around for a roll call vote, just aye or no. Luis,
Aye.
Melinda,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Dennis,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. So you are approved as noted. And if we could ask for just a resubmission with the final proportions for record, that would be much appreciated.
That's fine. Would Heather have the final say on that when we submit it, just to make sure it's what they want?
Okay, yeah, I think that's right. We'd sort of do it administratively. Is that okay, Heather?
Yep.
Okay, Jim, thank you.
Thank you very
And-
much. Nice to see everybody.
Thank you to the Compass team, and we'll hope to see you sometime soon.
Thank you so much. I
Thank you.
appreciate it, guys.
All right, folks, have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right, our next applicant, 421 Main Street. This is an application. But sorry, I'm moving around a little bit too much on my screens here. This is a certificate of appropriateness to install a fence and gate. This is in the Main Street district. I should have said that the previous application was also in the Main Street district. And I think, Scott, are you here? I'm
Actually,
not
I'm
Oh, hi, Addie.
I'm here, Addie.
Nice
Addie
to see you
Harris.
again.
So yeah, I'm the owner and here on
Yeah.
behalf.
There you are. All right. Do you want to walk us through? This is a revised application, correct? We've seen the application
Yes.
for the house. All right, maybe just.
Yep.
if you
So
wouldn't
this
mind,
is
Go ahead, walk us through it, please. Thank you.
sure. So this is a revised so the previous application was to approve. So there's some venting that comes out from there, and in order to mask the venting or the venting so you couldn't see it from the street, we were talking about a fence. So we figured out kind of where there's an electrical box. If you move your mouse to, right about there, and then just down a little bit, there's an electrical box kind of right there. So that where we like to place the fence is right in front of the electrical box. Or I should say utility boxes. So it'll hide from street view the utility boxes, as well as some venting from a new HVAC system that we put in place. The vents on the HVAC system, I think if you go down 2 slides, You can see how they kind of poke up, and we spoke with Neshoba Air about the height of the vents to see if they could bring those vents down. They actually can't easily bring them down because the height is actually regulated so that the venting is above, snow in the winter. Because they obviously should not be blocked by snow. So we're a little bit stuck with the height. So anyway, so that's why the proposed location is as such. The proposed height is 48 inches, and that has to do really with where those vents are. I know in the previous meeting, we were talking about 36, but then the top of these vents will still stick out. I'm really okay with either height, but yes, these HVAC vents are right at 50 inches high. So in terms of style of fence, if you go one slide earlier, the preferred style we have is a picket style like this, which matches well with the rest of the neighborhood. I tried to, I don't have great architectural skills, but in slide 6, I tried to show maybe what it would kind of look like in the driveway. There, I put a line where it would be in the driveway, and then what it would kind of look to have a fence like there. Probably not terribly to scale, but I kind of tried. And then there were some additional styles. So I guess to get some comments on this style as well as the height. And then if you guys don't like this style, there are some other styles that we saw kind of along that same neighborhood, but this white picket style seemed to be quite common.
Do you want to just walk us through those other styles real quick? And maybe, Addie, tell us if you have a preference in these 5 slides here of a
Yeah, so
second
this is
choice.
another, this is another one that we saw where it's more of a panel. So, blocks a little bit more of the view and has a solid rail on the top and the bottom. I think I put them in order. That panel was kind of our second favorite. The next one are more flat pickets. These tend to, from what I've seen, tend to be lower fences. So more of the 36-inch height fences. We probably could build it at the higher height, but didn't prefer this style quite as much as the other two shown. And then, if we wanted to go really tall and like really block the view, totally block the view of those vents, because, I guess you can kind of maybe see them a little bit through the pickets. We could do something like a board, more solid board fence on the bottom with something a little airier on the top. So this, we could get to the greater height, but still providing some ways to, and this is another style where it's more of a picket instead of a slat or a lattice. Is another option as well.
All right, thank you. I think I've got a pretty good idea. And these, and you're okay with the, let's call it the transparency of a picket fence as opposed to a board fence, which would.
Yeah, we're really fine with it. It's really for us up to the commission of, what's behind the fence. It's obviously going to look much better than this. The new windows are already in, so those look actually much nicer. But it's really those vents that are behind it that we're kind of, we're trying to shield from view. So, a picket fence, or somebody could see them a little bit more if they really tried, versus a board fence. They won't, and we're really fine with either, and we're fine with any material.
Okay, and I believe I'm sort of Google Earthing. I think the fence at the house next to you is like this, the style is sort of like the second.
It is. It's sort of like the second.
The board fence. I mean, not that you want to match it. I'm just trying to put it in context.
And I believe I have not been out there all week because I've been at a all week meeting in Boston. Their fence is not painted, but most of the fences in the neighborhood are painted white, and the railing on our porch is white. So our desire would be to have it white to match kind of with the railing that is on the front porch.
Okay, so the preferred style is the design that we saw first.
Yes.
And so it has gates and it's 48 inches high. And I think that makes sense. Okay, so let me just, I think I have an understanding of what we're talking about. Let's just go around and see if commissioners have comments. Luis?
I believe that this project is fine. I don't have any objections to the proposed fence. I think that actually that's the best fence because it gives the transparency that is appropriate for that part of Concord.
Thank you, sir. Melinda?
I like the fence that they've chosen the best as well. I think it's a nice look. I think the black is goes nicely with the shutters, and I think it's great.
Thank you, Kate.
I agree with what Luis said. I think it also looks good, their first choice. I think the scale is good, and I prefer the pickets because the openness is appropriate for the district.
Thank you, Kate. And Dennis?
I think it's fine. My one comment is, and this is a historical comment, this idea of painting hinges black is a culinary revival. So I'd prefer if the hinges were painted white to blend in if you're going to use hinges like that, because that is more appropriate. But the picket's fine with me.
All right. So I learn something new every time I'm in a meeting with you, Dennis.
I'm fine with either color hinge.
Okay.
We had thought the black looked nice with the shutters, but I didn't know that, that's a new learning for me as well. And really, we're fine either way.
And actually, it's interesting. I'm at the house next door. There's a little bit of black hardware, but there are no black hinges, at least that you can see. So that's interesting, Dennis. I never would have caught that. My only question, Eddie, we're talking about a wood system here, right? Not
Yeah,
plastic.
it would be a wood fist. I think most of the pictures are look more like an acrylic, but we wouldn't be buying like a prefab acrylic fence. We'd be the contractor Scott would be building a wood fence and painting it.
Okay. And the only other question is the width of the gate. Do we know what that is yet? Not that it doesn't really matter.
The width of the gate, so there'll be a bit of panel on each side of the driveway, and then gate in the middle, wide enough so we could fit one car if we need to pull one car in further off the street. The parking along Main Street there is quite limited, so we'd only have the 2 spots in our driveway. So if we have a babysitter over, a friend over, whatever, we'd be able to pull a car in, or we're going to be gone for a few weeks, pull a car inside the fence so that we have a little more parking.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I think I've heard from all commissioners. So why don't we open it up to public comment? Is there any public comment for the application for fencing here at 421 Main Street? And I'm going to look for looking around the room. I don't see any hands. Anything, Heather? Okay, so let's come back to the commission. And could I have a motion, please?
I move we approve the application of 421 Main Street to install a fence and gate with the requirement that the hinges be painted white.
And a second, please.
Second.
Kate, all right, let me go around and take your vote. Luis.
Aye.
Linda.
Aye.
Kate.
Aye.
Dennis.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. All right, Addie, you are approved. Thank you for the presentation and good luck getting the work done before the snow flies.
Thank you.
I hate to say that. I feel
No, it's
summer's over, man.
yeah,
Gee,
it's
well,
coming to a
if you-
quick close. We're racing to finish everything against the weather. Yeah, thank you so much.
I'm just a bundle of good news tonight. All right, well, thank you, and we'll see you around the neighborhood. All right, folks, moving right along, 44 Barrett's Mill Road, I believe, is our next application. This is in the Barrett Farm Historic District. Mr. John Igo is presenting, and there's John. This is a certificate of appropriateness to install a brick walkway. John, welcome.
Thank you very
And
much.
would you mind walking us through your application, please?
Yes, Barrett's Mill, the 44 Barrett's Mill Roadhouse, what we're proposing is using a contractor who has a lot of experience in town, Lazaro Paving. He's going to be doing the work. We want to put a brick walkway from our front brick steps that wraps slightly towards our driveway and extends approximately 40 feet. Because the house is elevated, the visibility of the actual walkway from the street, we believe, will be minimal. We don't have to make any landscaping changes here at all, except to remove the turf that is currently there. If we could go to the next slide, I could give you some visual overview of the property. On the upper left is a bird's eye view of the property as it sits. You can see that we sit on a rise above Barrett's Mill Road, and we have a rolling lawn that goes down to that street. The purpose of this walkway is to bring the traffic pattern into our driveway and not have people park on that main street, so that they'll come into our driveway. And then if you look at the lower right, you'll see there's no clear walkway over to the front of the house at all. So actually, when people show up, and we've only lived there a very short time, when people show up, they really don't know which door to go to. I also included a picture, a close-up there on the lower left of the existing brick walkway. This is at the sort of top right-hand side of the driveway, where that lamppost is. You just come up the driveway and it's just past that. You can see it from the aerial shot. And our goal is to have the brick pattern match this existing brick walkway that we have here. And if you look at those shrubs, the walkway will be to the right of that garden. And the next slide, actually, I tried to give you sort of a conceptual view of what this would look like. So you would come down those front steps, you enter into a 4-foot wide walkway that would carry out to the driveway.
Those bricks look too big, John, by the way.
Yeah. My PowerPoint skills with bricks is not what
I'm
it
just
used to
giving
be.
you a hard time. So John, let me ask, there's no site plan. Are you thinking of coming out perpendicular to the house or parallel to the porch like you're showing in that rendering, or will it curve?
Yes.
Or
Well, it would probably be a gentle angle out from the house, but running almost perpendicular with the house is the plan, yes.
okay. I think we may want to have at least a sketch of the plan layout, whatever it is you're going to eventually do. So because there'll be a landing and then the path will, take some sort of pathway. It would be good to have that. I personally don't have any objection to the idea or the materials at all. I think for record, we just want to make sure we've got a little bit clearer idea what it looks like in plan.
I can certainly provide that.
Okay. Let me go around and see what folks think. Luis?
I don't have any objections. I agree with Peter that it would be nice to have a landscape plan to just look at the shapes, but I don't think that would impair my ability to approve this application.
Okay, thank you. Melinda?
I think it's fine. I have no objections.
Thank you, ma'am. Kate?
No real objections. Oh wait, am I talking now? Okay.
Yep.
Quick question for John. Do you know if there was ever I know you said you haven't lived in the house long. What originally came down from the front steps? Do you happen to know if there was ever a path in its place?
I don't know what came down originally. In fact, I need to do research on that, but I've been waiting for COVID to lift. What I do know is the previous owners used to have a circular driveway that came up to the front steps and then came down on the other side of our lawn. And we actually have an easement in place on the right-hand side of our property that sort of documents that there's a right of way across a portion of our neighbor's property for that driveway. and we wrestled with that. We thought about putting, going back in and putting that driveway back in place. But when you drive by the house from the road, that rolling grass sort of view from the street, we think is just something we don't want to change.
Yeah.
Yet we need to direct traffic to get to our front door, because right now everybody's coming to the side door in the courtyard, and it's again, it's taking away from the house not to have access through the front door.
Right. And it probably the very original one, if anything, went straight to the road.
That's thinking, yeah, just a straight shot. But the road's so busy now, and there's no sidewalk and there's no parking. We really don't want people coming in that way.
No. So yeah, I would be curious for a sketch, because I'd be interested to see how far apart the mouth of the courtyard path is from, the mouth of this new proposed one, just in terms of proportion. And I agree with Peter, you might want to curve it a little bit, because again, the courtyard path, judging from the bricks and the shape of it, maybe it was put in the 30s. That has a curve to it. And so you might just want to sort of echo that a bit.
Yeah, and that's what we've talked to Lazaro about, is sort of curving it from the base of the front stairs and bringing it around. If we can go to the next slide, because I'd love to get your input on this. You can see those, that garden there. This is a very resilient garden. I'm not a gardener, and I have not been able to kill it yet in 2 seasons. So we're really hoping this garden will stay with us for many years. What do you think is a reasonable distance from the edge of that garden right there? Because we don't want to lose anything related to this garden, and the end of that path. Would that be 10 feet or 5 feet? What would you think?
Probably a little hard to say.
Yeah,
without
I really don't think that we can make that.
I would have
assessment.
Lazaro make a proposal to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe just say you want a gentle curve from the front door and see what they come up with. You'll be able to tell. I think if as long as it's not too close and not too far, it's one of those things. We're like the Supreme Court here. We know it when we see it, but we can't tell you.
Well, yeah, my thought is right now we want a traffic pattern on grass around that garden and the light post. Because the garden's so nice when it's in bloom, it's just gorgeous, and people that have come to visit us walk there. So we wanted it far enough away from the edge of the garden that people could continue to do that. Thank you.
Sure, thanks.
Thanks, Kate. Dennis,
I think it's just fine. No comment.
you get the award for brevity tonight. So, John, let me ask one quick question. Are you thinking about any path lighting? And the only reason I ask is, of course, that sort of changes, the application.
Yeah, no, we don't think we'll need it, because there are lights on our porch that shine. We have spotlights actually on the side of the house. So if we were having a larger function, we can turn those on. And then there's the lamppost, which goes on every night at dusk.
Okay. All right, thank you. I think we've heard from everyone. So why don't I see if there's any public comment on the application to install a brick walkway at 44 Barracks Mill Road. And I'm looking over hands. I see no hands. Heather, anybody? Nope. All right, how about a motion, please, from the commission, if I may? Not all at once.
Yeah, I move we approve the application of 44 Barracks Mill Road to install a brick walkway, provided that the applicant gives the commission a detailed landscape plan with sizes and directions of the proposed brick walkway.
All right, does that make sense, John?
Yes, it does. So do I submit those to Heather as we were doing with the previous?
Yes, I think that's exactly right. Just a sketch to Heather, who will notify us if there's any need for us to look at it, but I think
Great.
Heather would do an administrative review. I
Do-
need a
do we-
second on that motion, sorry.
I'll second it.
Yes, John, sorry, you had a question?
Well, it's actually a closing question based on your comments to the previous applicant. If I can't get this done before snow, does my approval carry through the spring? Because I wouldn't want to do this in the middle of the winter just because of the way I feel it would settle. And I'd want to wait until April. Does my approval carry that long, or do I have a time limit?
No, there's a Hardy New Englander time limit, extension. What do you have, 6 months, Heather?
So your certificate is good for 6 months.
6 months.
You can request an extension.
Okay, thank you.
And the 6 months means that you only have to start the project within 6 months. Once it's started, it's until you finish it.
Oh, okay, very good. Thank you.
But if you do it in January, you get way extra points, like from the town.
Your next
all-
application goes automatically.
All right, we were actually in the middle of voting. We have a motion and a second. Let me go around and see your votes. Luis,
Aye.
Melinda,
Aye.
Kate? Kate's an aye. Dennis?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. All right, John, you're good to go. Good luck getting it
Thank you
done.
very
Okay, thank you. All right, moving right along, folks. We are moving over to Lexington Road, 13 Lexington Road. This is in the American Mile District. This is a certificate to replace a door and a deck. And Carol Schoenberger, are you here, Carol? There you are. Okay, sorry, I was looking around. And welcome. And this is a very interesting project to me.
Yes.
I always love projects that are up against the graveyard, but tell us what's happening.
Well, I'm representing new owners, Carl Bantel and Farley Urmston. And the slider at the back looking out on the old cemetery is non-functioning. So my application is to remove that and put in French doors and replace the deck, which was very rotted. And the French doors would be made of solid mahogany, painted, and painted the same color as the Essex green front door. And the deck would be solid mahogany.
All right, and let me see if I have any questions. I'll be amazed if I find any commissioners who are attached to that door, frankly. Let's see.
Our feeling is
Can we see that door from a public venue?
From the cemetery.
Cemetery, yeah.
All right, so this is a 15 light door. Any screens, Carol?
yeah, good question. I wanted to see what the response of the commission was. We could do retracting ones that were inside, or we could do it on the outside and, have them be the ones where you can do a glass storm door in the winter and switch it out to a screen door in the warm weather. So I didn't, I wasn't sure.
Okay. I mean, it looks like if we go to, pardon me, to the photograph, so there's a door to the right there. There's a storm door, kind of old fashioned aluminum storm door with a glass panel. So it doesn't have to match that. I'm just saying there's a precedent having storm doors or screens.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that answers my question. Let me see what folks think. Luis, any thoughts?
I think that it's fine. I don't see any problem.
All right, thank you, sir. Melinda?
I think it's fine.
Okay, Kate?
I think it's fine. I just have one question for reference sake. Carol, do you know what the current opening is right now? I see you've got 60 inches proposed, and I'm just curious.
Yes, this one is 48. And
Yeah.
when I filled out the application, I said 60.
Yeah.
But in fact, I would like to do 54, a 4.5 inch
Mhm.
door. But again, I'm happy to defer to what you suggest. I'd like to bring a little more light into the interior. But I decided actually 60 was a little wider than I wanted to go.
I mean, it doesn't matter to me. And
Uh-huh.
also now that I'm looking at that photo, will you be, you'll need to do something with the light fixture. So I don't know if that's
Yes.
in the application, but that will need to be approved as well.
Okay. Okay, very good.
Are you going to just move it to the left? Carol?
Yeah,
Is that the idea?
yes.
You think
Mhm.
you'll reuse that fixture?
Honestly, probably not, and I overlooked that detail. So, I'm open to what you have to say about that, but we would rewire, making that door wider. And, however, whatever is required, if it requires another hearing, we can have it ready to go and I can submit our choice for approval.
I would say this just as the chair, if it's a similar fixture in style and
Mhm.
proportion and color, then I would submit it to Heather. I think, Heather, can we do that by a kind of administrative review process? What do you think?
Sure.
And the floodlights would remain.
Correct. Mhm.
So anyway, that would be my proposal. Carol, if you could find a fixture that's similar in character, style, size, we need it to be dark skies, painted
Right.
black, probably on a mounting plate, and then just submit a little drawing of whatever that is to Heather, and then she could
Yes.
approve it on our behalf. If she has questions, I think she would kick it back out to us for comment, but I don't think it
Sure.
requires another meeting.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, sorry, was I going around the horn? Yes, I was at Kate. Was I at Kate? Dennis, I didn't want to leave you out. Any thoughts?
Yeah, my only thoughts are those, what we're seeing over the current doors, those are spotlights.
Yes.
So you're gonna have spotlights in there as well as a light beside the door?
Yes, I mean, I would want that if I was sitting back in that courtyard.
Well, we have I think we have sort of an aversion to too much light, and frankly, I
Okay.
prefer to get rid of the spotlights and then put a nice light beside the door that's light compliant. But
Mhm.
to me, that's a lot of light that's there.
Okay.
Those floodlights almost look like they're there for, I don't know, safety reasons. That's a lot of light back there, isn't it?
Can I ask the applicant a question just quickly?
Sure.
Are you sure aren't these automatic lights with a motion sensor? That's the way they look like, at least.
I
They
think
are.
you might be right. Yeah.
Yeah, the middle section is motion sensor. So
Um,
those might be a security feature.
Yeah.
yes, I'm not sure about that. I don't know if they're light sensitive.
I think they are those little, you can see the little sensor or at least motion sensitive.
Okay.
Um, So it looks like and I'm assuming they're owned by the homeowner, not the town. Well, I think we leave those alone for the moment. I agree
Yeah.
with Dennis. It would be nice they're not super attractive fixtures probably in anybody's mind, but they're probably a
Right.
safety.
Yeah, I made an assumption that it was required to be in compliance with something, but I'm not certain about that.
Okay, well, I think if our focus stays on the door and the adjacent light, we're okay. Is
Okay.
that okay, Dennis?
I think that's fine. I think that, yeah, let's focus on the door, and if she wants to do something about the light, she should come back later.
Okay. All right, so I think we've gone through all the pieces. So let me see if there's any public comment on the application to replace the door. And we're going to add to relocate and replace that light fixture adjacent to the door at 13 Lexington Road. Is there any comment? I'm just looking here. Heather, nope. All right, I would bring it back to the commission. My only other comment, sorry, I had one other thing, Carol, the screen itself. If you do screens, if you could try to get that sort of transparent-ish, not black screen,
Yes.
just because that tends to look like a big black hole.
Right.
That would be great. All right, could I have a motion, please, from the commission?
I move that we accept this application for, I'm forgetting the address on Lexington Road.
13 Lexington.
13 Lexington Road as submitted.
Second.
Or with the comments we've made, I would say.
Yeah, did we make any comments that made any difference?
Well, the light fixture, we're adding the light fixture in.
And the
Oh, I
change,
thought we were dropping the light fixture until,
No, just
Further
the adjacent one. We're just gonna move that one over. and replace
oh,
it.
okay, okay.
And then the screens.
And that'll be 54 inches,
yes. Mhm.
not 60.
Heather's
Sure.
just translating that into English as we speak. All right, could I get a second, please?
Second.
And let's go around and get your vote. Luis,
Aye.
Melinda. Are you an aye? Melinda's an aye. Kate?
Aye.
Aye. Dennis?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Thank you, Carol.
I just want to clarify.
Mhm.
So the light to the left of the door is being replaced. I'll give that to Heather and she'll take a look. And the lights above, at least for now, are just being left as is.
We'll just leave them alone.
Right, right.
Okay.
And
already there.
any additional information, if you have a screen specification, just send that in for the record. It would be-
Okay, I'll do that.
All right.
All right,
Carol.
thank you. Thank you very
You
much.
bet. All right, thank you, folks. And we are on to our next 53 Cambridge Turnpike. And this is an application. We are in the, which district are we here? American Mile. This is to repaint a ranch house. And this is the Concord Museum is the applicant. And I see Tom is here. Hi, Tom.
Greetings, and my colleague Bob Ripley, who's our Director of Finance's office, is actually in the ranch house, which is behind those windows. So we actually, Dennis probably knows the history better than I do. I don't know exactly what year the Concord Museum bought the ranch house, but it was part of our campus when I arrived as director, and it has languished somewhat while we worked on renovating our larger building. So anyway, we now have the time and resources not only to paint, but we put a new roof on the ranch house, and before we paint, we'll have to do just some small part of a contract is to also repair some of the rotted wood and put on gutters and the like. But I think the operative question is what colors, and we are going to paint it the same color. I think, Heather, if you go to, as the curator's house, which sits on Lexington Road. So it would just be this kind of beige with white trim. There actually aren't shutters on the ranch house, so it would primarily be this beige and white. So with that, Peter, I'll turn it back to you, and Bob's here. Bob knows a little more specifics about the actual contract, but
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Tom. Bob, may I ask a little bit more? Is there, so the beige would be the field color, is the trim white and railings and what have you? Is that how it would work? Oh, you have to unmute yourself, Bob. There you go.
Yes, yes, that's the plan.
So windows would be white surrounds, the railing, handrail, pickets and posts, that would all be white. And I can't see, I guess there are pictures of, both sides of the house? No, I don't remember what's on the right there. Is it a?
It's a porch.
Porch?
Yeah.
Would that be all white?
Currently, it's the brown with the white trim on the windows.
So it would just, the whole consistently, it would be the the beige or the
Yeah.
taupe color
Yes.
with a white trim.
Yes.
Any other colors? I don't think that's really it, right?
I mean, just again, I'm not an architect or an esthetician, but you know, it's a pretty straightforward house. So I think we just want it. It's not like a Victorian house where you know, 3 or 4 colors with various trims. I think it's basically, we want it to kind of fade away with this beige and white.
So I think just to make sure that, and I'm assuming you're having, I don't know who's going to paint it. Probably Bob, you're not going to do it on a ladder, are you?
No.
So your painter,
Although I will supervise.
your painter may have ideas about the rake boards and what have you, and you know where the trim should start and stop. So, you know, I'm assuming, and it's pretty straightforward here. There isn't that much trim. Okay, this feels like a fairly straightforward application, and the color we're just saying it's going to match. Do we know what that color is on the curator house? We don't know what that color actually is. Like a Ben Moore so and so. Are you just gonna, how are you gonna have just a color chip match?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if folks have any questions or comments. Luis?
Just a quick question. Is the current material, is the current finish, is it painted or is it stained?
I believe it's painted.
Okay. No, I think it's fine. I don't see any problem at all.
Thank you, Luis. Melinda?
I think it's fine.
Okay, thank you. Kate?
I think it's fine.
Okay, thank you. And Dennis?
I think it's fine.
All right, we sound like we're imitating one another here. I think we think it's fine. Let me just see if there's any questions from the gallery. Is there any public comment on the proposal to repaint the house at 53 Cambridge Turnpike? And I'm looking around for hands. I don't see any. See no raised hands. All right. So why don't I bring it back and look for a motion from the commission, please?
I move that we approve the application of the Concord Museum, 53 Cambridge Turnpike, to repaint the ranch house with colors that will be similar to the house that currently exists adjacent to Lexington Road, and that the applicant will provide the commission with paint chips and descriptions of the colors that are going to be used.
Fair enough, Tom. Bob?
Yes, yep, absolutely.
All right, could I get a second on that, please?
I'll second.
Melinda, and let me just take a quick roll call vote. Luis?
Aye.
Melinda?
Aye.
Kate? Kate's an aye. Dennis?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck getting that done.
Okay,
We'll
thanks.
see you around town.
All right. Thanks, Peter.
All right, folks, last but not least, we have an application at 615 Lowell Road. This is in the Barrett Farm Historic District to construct a single-family dwelling. Now, we've seen a preview of this application. I'm assuming folks are familiar with the material that's up on the website. We have had a number of letters submitted to us. There's quite a bit of public comment. I advise everyone to review that. And but this is the first time we will have seen the formal application. So I believe, Mike, are you presenting the project? Oh, I can't hear it. We can't hear you though. You're gonna unmute yourself there. There you go.
Got it?
Yep. All right. Welcome, Mike. Would you mind walking us through the application, please?
Yes. Yep. I'm going to present, and then Lisa will follow me with some more information on it. So my name is Mike Bushnell. I am the applicant at 615 Lowell Road. I have some background on the lots here. There was 3 lots created in 2014 by subdividing 625 Lowell Road. All 3 of these lots meet Concord zoning regulations for Residence B. Using the town zoning bylaw, FAR, floor area ratio, these lots can support roughly 11,000 square foot homes. The other 2 lots were purchased by an abutter in 2015. To the best of my knowledge, from what I can see, those lots have never been conserved or deed restricted or gifted to the town. So I would assume sometime in the not near future, there'll be proposals on those lots, as those lots have gone up considerably in value, pushing almost $2 million. Where are we? I certainly understand that this is a sensitive project to the neighbors and building a house at Lowell Road. I've saw quite a few comments in regards to the size of the lot, that they don't like the size of the lot. I have spent quite a bit of time with Elise Stone in listening to those comments and designing a house that fits that lot. If you look at the frontage on Lowell Road, we have 194 feet of frontage. It doesn't look that way if you drive by, but that's 194 feet across. We're presenting a house that at the front presents at 27 feet wide. So trying to keep the scale of looking in, that it's not squished into the lot. We further try to mass the house. We took 3/4 of the mass of the house and moved it to the left side of the lot, which is trying to respect the privacy of the one abutter who really sees. There's only one abutter. The house on the right can see the lot. I think for the most part, all the other abutters are screened. I'm more than willing to work with that abutter and coming up with a desirable landscape screening or whatnot to provide us both privacy there. In conclusion, I feel we're proposing a very modest sized structure that is 30% of what the town allows in zoning in Residence B. I would further guess that this is probably one of the smallest houses built in Residence B in the last 10 to 15 years anyways, considering Residence B is a 40,000 square foot lot. I hope the board recognizes that this is a well thought out plan and fits the lot. We tried to take your previous emails and comments into consideration. I think Elise can speak further to our design process and the architectural features of the house. And I, as always, appreciate all your time.
Thank you, Mike. Elise, welcome. Can I ask a quick question, Elise? There are 2 site plans on the website. Are there?
Yeah, yes, let me speak to that. I'm sorry. There's 2, trying to give you guys options. The first one is set back 60 feet from the road. Then we looked at it further and we thought it would be better for the abutter if we presented a site with the house moved forward so it's only 40 feet off the road. So it's 2 different site plans, one 60 feet back, one 40 feet back.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, thank you. I just didn't understand.
Yeah, no, I
Okay.
apologize. I meant to speak.
No, it's okay. Okay. All right, sorry, Elise, I interrupted you there.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to first say that when I was before you a month ago or so, I showed you a house and I took those comments and, kind of completely looked at it a different way. And so what I was trying to do with this house was to create a house that the massing kind of spiraled backwards so that when you kind of came upon it on Lowell Road, you wouldn't really see it as like a blob, a heavy, just one mass. So I looked at it, I went up and down around town and just looked at kind of older homes and how they were kind of added on to, kind of a front part that was smaller than a middle part. And then the back section is quite a bit lower with dormers. It is connected to the garage, but with a single story structure. It's very difficult, I feel, on the elevations to really understand that the massing has been broken up. But the way I look at it is, I wanted to present it to you guys today. see where you felt, and maybe if you had a visit to the lot, and I would gladly build a model of this because I feel like the model could show the kind of up and down. The house itself, by using smaller widths, is only 30 to 31 feet tall from grade. And that's not from the top of foundation or the first floor, it's from grade, to try to keep it, so it's not massive. I mean, it doesn't, even, it's 5 feet lower than what is, allowable. And trying to use some features and breaking it up so that it wasn't, just some architectural details, convolder, the extended rakes, it's a little flatter pitch, but I was trying to, the shutters, etc., the side porch to come in. And so my idea is that the front entry is, yes, it's the entry, but that you would come into the site on the right side. And, I have a door coming off the porch on the left, that would be actually also another kind of front entry, the other side actually. So that the side there's a French door off the side porch there. And then the garage is, set back. And, what happens with this lot, which is why I feel like I like it pulled forward, is that it gets narrower as you go back. So it actually gives you a little more room in the back to, the further forward the house pulls. So now there is, we could have put the garage directly against the house, and that obviously would have made it a narrower situation. But I feel like breaking that up, when you look at it, again, it feels a little more natural. And, the garage, obviously it's not a barn, but, kind of a different flavor. And there is space above the garage, but right now it's just cold storage. And, it's a 24 by 24 garage with a little room in the back for some storage. So it's kind of a standard 2-car garage. Trying to think of, but you can see from the side, how it kind of goes down towards the back. We feel we did push it to the left, even though it would, on some level, the light is on the left side. So, but we felt, we wanted to kind of give space to the house to the right, because that is the house that is the most affected by this. But, like we're here, we're presenting this, looking for some feedback and suggestions. And, I do think a visit to the site would be helpful, but, I'm ready to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think a couple things just before I open it up to the commissioners. I do think a model would help, a 3D model, because I'm okay reading it, but I read drawings all the time.
Yes.
And I also think a site plan that shows the context, because it's a little hard for me to understand how close we are to the two neighbors. If that would be possible to do a site plan with the, at least the abutter houses on the site plan and, just blocked out, that would help. But why don't I go around and see what folks think? Luis?
Well, there's no question that we need to do a site visit, and that we need to have substantially more information about how it's going to look in terms of massing. I'm reminded that very close to this lot, there was another structure that was built where the whole concept of the commission wanting to see the massing and the contextual effect of the house in the neighborhood was created. So I think that it would be appropriate to have a model that shows the other existing structures that are going to be around this house. Then my second comment is that I commend the architect for doing what architects do, which is to create new spaces and break spaces and make the eye see what makes the person holding the eye be comfortable. And I think that the idea of breaking the structure of the house into two units, one the garage, the other rest of the house, it's very good. And then I just have a general comment, which is the fact that the issue here is going to be massing in relation to the other structures, and it really doesn't matter from the standpoint of the commission that it would be legal from a town regulation standpoint, because we are not going to be bound by that. That's the reason that I mentioned this, because I think that having had such a good start from the architectural standpoint to make these proposals certainly much more palatable, then the architects can go even further and carry on that concept and make something that actually will be a contribution to the neighborhood that the neighbors are going to approve and enjoy. That's all.
Thank you, Luis.
Peter, could I just add one thing? I forgot to
Sure.
mention that the house is 3,400 square feet, and that does not include the garage. But I just wanted to add that we had started at the house I showed you last time was 3,800. This is 3,400. Okay, we basically took out the dining room and reduced the bedrooms significantly, like the sizes of the bedrooms.
Elisa, I just mentioned it's. I don't want to be very picky, but it says it's a 5-bedroom house. But I've been sneaking into the plan, and I see 4 bedrooms. So I don't know. If
Yeah, there's 4 bedrooms. Yeah,
it's something that you want to correct in the application, so there will not be any questions.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a 4-bedroom house.
Right.
Thank you, Luis. Melinda.
Well, I would like to see a model because I am having trouble visualizing the fact that the garage is pushed back a little. In this schematic, it looks like it's even with the main part of the house, to me anyways. And then it just seems like one big whopping house to me from one side to the other. And I understand you've made it smaller, but it still seems pretty big. But I would like to go on site and take a look, and I'd also like to see a model because I think I'd have a better feel for it then.
Thank you, Melinda. Kate.
Yeah, context is everything here. And I echo what Luis has said. It's one thing what town zoning would allow you for your 40,000 square feet of property, but we're a different matter, and that's our job. Right now, if I had to vote right now, I would say this is too big for the space. It would look like it was wedged in, and we would feel that every time we drove past it. So I'll be looking at scale as well as massing and just the context to the area. This is one of our most significant intersections.
Thank you, Kate. And Dennis, last but not least.
I'll withhold most comments until I actually have a site visit, see it laid out on the site, and see a model. I understand what's being said about the planes of the garage you see here. So I just need more information. So at this point, I don't have much to say until we see further work done on this and until we do a site visit.
All right, thank you, Dennis. As a point of order, I just want to point out that our next meeting, I believe, is October 7th, correct, Heather? All right, so assuming we're going to do a site visit, which I'm hoping the proposal team would be amenable to, we would look to do that on the morning of October 7th. Would that work at 8 or 8:30 a.m.?
Yes.
Mike, would you?
Yeah,
would
that's
host?
fine.
That's no problem. I'd also suggest, Heather, if you could put the site plan up, I think people will see it a little bit better. I know looking at that front elevation looks like a big mass, but as you look at the site plan, I think there's another one that's a little cleaner. But that one there, you can see, the front of the house. Where is it? Yeah, the front of the house, and then you can see the garage back. So the massing should look smaller from the front. I realize if a front elevation is a front elevation,
Yeah, no, and I knew that, yeah.
but maybe that plan helps a little bit for somebody to try to visualize. But yeah, a walkthrough, whenever it's convenient for you guys, will work for us.
Okay, well, just as a matter of process, we would do it the next meeting and then discuss it again that evening.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we've heard from all commissioners. I don't have anything useful to add. I think we've said the kind of things we're looking for. And so why don't I open it up to public comment? Is there any public comment on the application for a new house at 615 Lowell Road? And let me just hang on a sec. So I think Rich Santoro, you have your hand raised. Do you want to go ahead? Welcome. There you go.
As long as I can figure out how to unmute, that would help me, I
You're
guess.
now unmuted.
Well, thank you, commissioners. Really appreciate the time and all of the work that you do here for Concord and for preservation of our historic districts. I just want to, you probably have already seen, but I've, submitted a letter to the commissioners, which details our strong opposition to the plans that were submitted by Mr. Bushnell, the developer here. Generally, we strongly feel that the plans proposed are clearly and directly in conflict with and inconsistent with the preservation goals of the Barrett Farm Historic District and also the design guidelines in the Historic District guidelines. I don't want to go like too deep in everything. I think my letter is pretty detailed, so I do urge you to take a look at that, but I do want to hit some points, so I think, as I mentioned before, we live in 625 Lowell, which is the abutting 615 Lowell, directly abuts it. Our house was noted by the Concord Historic Commission in its Historic Resources Master Plan, its survey of historical and architectural resources, and it specifically identifies the architectural significance of our house as one of two 19th century Queen Anne style extended farmhouses that comprise Hildreth Corner. You guys all know about the history and significance of Hildreth Corner, so I won't go too deeply into that. But it is outlined in the letter that I submitted. The points we really want to make in terms of where this is in conflict with the Historic District guidelines and the preservation goals for Barrett's Farm Historic District are first and foremost, and I think many of the commissioners have astutely seen this and raised this, but the size, massing, and scale of the structure, it's just not appropriate in relation to the awkward, narrow size of this lot. All the neighboring structures, including and most importantly, our historic farmhouse and our outbuilding, which is a historic structure in itself. It's colloquially known in the community as the Asparagus House. It's actually the oldest structure on the property. And also the surrounding streetscape. And so just to point out, just generally, about this lot and to give more context, this lot that the developer is seeking to develop on, it's an incredibly oddly shaped, incredibly narrow and long lot. Half of the lot tails back beyond the fields on Barrett's Mill that the developer mentioned before that were part of the original parcel. And this results in that the back half of the lot's so narrow it's unbuildable and virtually unusable. And the front buildable half is small and situated so close to our historic, architecturally significant structure that it poses challenges to construct so as not to affect the historic nature of our house. And I think, and I urge the HDC to really take into consideration when they think about the size, massing, and location of the building in the garage, that they take this into account, and I know you will as you examine this. But the proposal right now, which is, although it's mentioned that it's 3,400 square feet, it's, if you look at the site plans closely, it says plus minus 400. So this looks closer to 3,800 square feet. It's 33 feet high and includes a footprint and massing of a large garage and driveway. It really takes up the entire width and buildable area of the lot. And the size, scale, massing, and location of the imposing structure infringes on and significantly impacts both our historic home, the historic white building on our outbuilding on our property, and will dominate the historic house, outbuilding, and land, and clearly detracts from the historic preservation of Hildreth Corner. It also will have a direct and negative impact on the streetscape and the historic and scenic nature of Hildreth Corner. It's going to remove all open space between structures. What's going to be left is the visual impact of a tall, imposingly large building in a densely developed area with no open space between buildings. This we feel is incongruous and inconsistent with the rural agrarian streetscape and preservation goals of the Barracks Farm Historic District. So what we believe is that the developer is really attempting to shoehorn a large, massive structure with an attached garage in an incredibly narrow footprint that's going to be impinged on our historic house and the rest of the historic nature of Hildreth Corner. So I just want to I want to go to the second point that we have and move on. And, you know, as you look at the plans and you come to your site visit, I do want you to compare the design and construction of the house in comparison to ours. We were really shocked to see that the developer is really proposing a carbon copy of the design style of our historic residence for the proposed building. You know, as you can see, they're proposing an extended farmhouse style house that blatantly exactly copies all the style and architectural elements of our historic house. For example, they use the exact same roof line and cornices, house form, window scheme, door placement, and porch. They elongate the house to make an elongated farmhouse exactly like our house, much of which will be visible from both Lowell and Barracks Mill roads if you look at the side views. They even go so far as to include a faux barn-like garage, which copies our circa 1890 carriage house with window placement, shape, and other elements from the front view. This design is really in conflict with the HDC guidelines, which state that outright mimicry of an existing structure or a pure historic style is generally considered to be inappropriate. It says the guidelines say that, you know, while design should take into account nearby historic structures, it should be clearly differentiated from them so a false historic appearance is not created. The developer's design just clearly represents an outright mimicry of our existing house and barn at 625 Lowell. And having a carbon copy of the historic house is really going to impact the architectural integrity and value of 625 Lowell Road and also the houses that surround it in Hildreth Corner. The other things we want to point out just really briefly are we do feel that the construction and structure and creation of the driveway and the garage is going to cause radical alterations to the site and is also in conflict with the HDC guidelines. You know, the guidelines, so just to point out, just situated, you know, visible from both Barrett's Mill and Lowell Road are 7 old growth trees that line the border between the parcels. Half these trees are on the front of the lot and visible from Lowell and Barrett's Mill roads are located on 615 Lowell lot, and half of them are on our lot. The developer has not disclosed in his plan whether he's going to remove these trees, but it seems obvious from the location of the driveway, turnaround, and garage that he plans to cut these trees down. These old growth trees are essential to the existing form, integrity, and visual interest of the lots, the landscape of Hildreth Corner, and the Barrett's Farm Historic District. In addition, you know, we do feel that the driveway and the location of the driveway is consistent with HDC guidelines as well. You know, if you notice where the turnaround and placement of the driveway is, it's going to train, it will train headlights both towards the Hildreth house, which is obviously a very historic house in the corner, and also will be a detriment to the general agrarian rural landscape of Barrett's Mill Road. And, you know, the other thing we want to just also point out is we do not feel and believe that a garage attached or otherwise is consistent with the size of this lot and the scope of this lot. You know, and this goes back to a little bit about the size and massing of structures. And the HDC guidelines, you know, do note that, you know, visually filling a site by situating the garage in a prominent location adjacent to a main structure can detract from the landscape component of the historic street. We really feel like if you look at the size dimensions of the structure in total, the width of it, this would not be consistent with HDC guidelines. And, you know, the guidelines go as far as to note that any garages in any form may not be appropriate for prominent and highly visible sites. And we feel like that again is direct, the proposal for this is in direct conflict with the HDC guidelines. So I'll just to wrap this up, you know, I know that Mr. Bushnell has noted that the zoning allows him to build an 11,000 square foot home on this lot. But those arguments are really misdirections and false comparisons and inapplicable to construction in the historic district. You know, we know that Mr. Bushnell, through his architectural lease, brought forth a plan on August 5th in terms of this with a largely sized and mass structure. They really have brought forth the same proposal in size, structure, and scope. The developer really has clearly demonstrated that, you know, he has not taken the HDC and neighborhood concerns into play, and we do feel like it will be a detriment to the corner. And if built, you know, we really strongly believe that this, if this development, if built the way it is, will be a permanent and detrimental impact on Hildreth Corner and the character and architectural integrity of the historic houses, including 625 Lowell Road. And I think my wife, you would like to say anything? Okay. So anyway, I thank you for your consideration. I did want to put out and raise all of those important issues. You know, as you can see, the neighborhood and also the community is really concerned about the size, scope, and manner of this development. And I know you will, you know, look at it very carefully and closely in order to make sure it's consistent with our historic farm district. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Richard. And thank you for your comments and the letter. And I'm just going to continue to see if there is additional public comment. I'm just looking for other raised hands. I see, I think Bill Page, is that right, Heather? I'm having a little trouble here.
Yes.
Yes. Bill, welcome. And if I may play town moderator here, if there's additional information, I guess I would ask to try not to repeat too much what the Santoro folks just said, which was a very comprehensive, I think, presentation. So thank you, but welcome.
Thank you to the HDC. I think the amount of letters you've received are indicative of the amount of concern we have in relation to the urgency of this project by the spec developer. And so I think precedent is extremely important. And the last time I was before the HDC was 2014, when we fought Archstone unsuccessfully, and passing that structure further down Lowell Road is a consistent reminder to me of the failure of the citizens in the HDC in that effort. And I think what's happened is we're mixing metaphors on, I think this takes greater precedence than the discussion of a walkway. I think we need to get through to the fact that this is all about preservation. I just want to emphasize what Kate said earlier. This is one of our most significant intersections in Concord. And so that is the relevance to me. I don't have anything to add to what the Santoros just developed. I just wanted to get the focus here on the discussion of urgency and preservation in relation to the historical nature of the Barracks Mill District. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you for your letter. I've read that carefully as well. Other folks, other public comments. Just looking around the room. I think, Nancy, do you have your hand raised?
I do, and I think I'm unmuted.
There you are. Welcome.
So I'm just speaking for myself alone tonight, and as someone interested in the history of the town and the integrity of the historic districts. My letter to the commission today really tried to recognize the difficulty of the job that you have in considering these proposals. And I don't envy you that. I know it's difficult. I appreciate it. And I think Rich did a good job bringing forth the guidelines and the specific aspects of the guidelines that can be applied to this project. I'm happy to see a model and some more direct understanding of how this proposed structure will look from the road, given the context of the adjoining houses and the neighborhoods. So it's an awkward, it's an oddly shaped lot, and the new structure will be awkwardly large and modern, fairly close to the road, with the potential really to dominate the streetscape and the view of the public from the public way. Size, scale, and massing, of course, are key aspects, and I think the commission as well as the public comments will reflect that. So happy to see a careful and deliberate approach to this, because the impact, I think, will be permanent if we don't get it right as a town. Thank you.
Agreed. Thank you, Nancy. And thank you for your letter. Alan, it looks like you have your hand raised. Alan.
Alan Bogosian, 1624 Main Street.
Welcome.
Thank you. And in full disclosure, I am a member of the Historical Commission, but that's not why I'm here. I'm just here as a member of the town, and I frequent that corner almost every day. And I also, as a construction electrician, look at blueprints every day. And the drawing that I have looked at, I just had some concerns, and that has to be with the landscaping, with the position of the house, heading into the future. And I appreciate what the commissioners do, and I think some more time should be spent evaluating this proposal.
All right, thank you, Alan. I appreciate everybody's concern about us, but we're pretty tough. You know, we get paid extra for these applications. I'm just kidding. It's a strictly volunteer operation here. Are there other public comments? I'm just looking around. I see John. I don't know what the last name is there. John, you have your hand raised. Oh, there you are, John. You were just with us. Can you unmute yourself, John? Sorry, I didn't recognize your.
Sorry.
There you go. Welcome. No, it's all right. Welcome back.
And again, I think as most of the people that know that were in the meeting earlier, I live around the corner at 44 Barracks Mill Road. I think in general, I submitted a letter, and I had two major concerns. One is the overall size of the revised structure seems to me to not be conducive to the neighborhood, as everybody has said. I think in order to achieve that size of that house, you're going to have to tear apart that lot. So we're going to leave a lot that, you know, has less trees and less foliage than what it has today. So I would really encourage a smaller footprint. I also, in looking at it, felt that the way the driveway was set up should be reconsidered. And I know there is another driveway right next door to it, a dirt driveway that runs to the house and back. And my thoughts as I walk by this house almost every day, and this lot almost every day, was, should we consider combining those two driveways somehow, instead of yet, you know, opening it up another access point for the traffic to go through. So that's it. I support what everybody else had commented on as well. I'm also happy to see that the commission feels it seems through your comments that the project is a little bit too large for the neighborhood. So thank you.
Thank you, John. Other comment? I'm looking for hands. I see you're. Are you waving at us? Yes, you'd
Right
like
now.
to. Yes,
So,
go ahead.
Yeah, I don't really have
very
Sorry, Nick.
much to add. I just, I live at Hildreth House across the road, and I think everything has been put very eloquently by everyone, so I don't have anything further to add. I agree with all the points we put. We have also sent a letter, so I don't have anything to add except for I'm here to support all of our neighbors, and I agree passionately about what everything else that has been put forward tonight.
Thank you, Nancy. I didn't mean to discourage people from talking. I'm just, I'm channeling our town moderator.
That's okay.
Erica, did you have your hand
Yes,
up?
yes,
Okay.
sorry.
Sorry,
I know Rich
Go ahead.
spoke. I just wanted to say just two things. So I prepared something very short, but also there was comment about the lots behind 625 Lowell Road that were bought by the Ross family a few years back. And I did speak with Bonnie Ross about that recently, and she is interested in conserving. It was kind of music to all of our ears in the neighborhood. She very much wants to conserve that land. And so that is something we did talk to the Concord Land Trust about. So keeping those 2 acres in conservation. And of course, we all wanted to try to obtain the lot, the 3rd lot, to donate all of them to conservation. And so that was one of the things we had tried to do to not get to this point. But I do know for sure that she would be happy to donate those acres behind our house for conservation purposes. And then I just prepared some short. I know we pretty much said everything, but I just wanted to, one point that I wanted to make that wasn't in the letters that I saw was that, so we moved from another house in Concord and we moved here. And the other home we lived in was not in the historic district. And we moved here knowing that if we wanted to make any changes to our home that would impact the preservation efforts in our district, that we might be limited. So if we want to change something like the shade of the color of our shutters, we know that we might not have the ability to do that without careful review by this committee to make sure that the changes are appropriate. And we knew all this, and we still chose to buy our home here because we support these efforts and feel that as a community, we all reap the benefits of the preservation goals. Developers do not have the same vested interest that the residents have. The residents of this district have lived here for decades, and the new families here have chosen to live in the historic district because we believe in the preservation efforts and follow the HDC recommendations. We are asking for developers to be held to the same standards as those of us who live here. Developers know and understand that when they're trying to buy land in the historic district and trying to develop that land, they will be restricted in what they can build by this committee. They do not have these restrictions when they're developing in non-historic districts. So it shouldn't be a surprise that this committee may restrict the development in terms of size, scale, and style. And looking, of course, at this proposed plan, I feel it needs to be substantially downsized and everything else that we've already said. But that anything built needs to be very well scrutinized and made more appropriate so as not to diminish the historical significance and change the natural landscape of this corner forever. I can't think of one thing I can change about my home that would alter the landscape on this corner as much as building an inappropriately large structure on a narrow lot. And once it's built, this landscape will be forever changed. I'm so grateful to live in this historic district where these preservation efforts and the hard work of this committee aim to protect what so many of us hold dear.
Thank you, Erica. I'm looking around, just want to make sure everybody who wants to speak can speak. Are there other comments? I'm looking for hands or people waving at us. Anybody can't? Melissa, do you want to speak there? I can see you waving at us, but you're muted. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
There you are. Welcome.
I am muted and I can't, I'm sorry. I have my Utah background here and I don't quite know how to change it, but I'll just very briefly say that for 30 years, I lived a few houses down from this corner. And I lived therefore under the jurisdiction of the HDC. And like the previous speaker said, if we wanted to do anything, we had to come before the HDC. And I would like to point out that there's some structures along that area that did not have, to me, the adequate scrutiny that I hope that you will provide on this property. There's an acorn house, for example, my next door neighbors, they were lovely people, but I will never, ever forgive the HDC for allowing that structure. Because as Nancy pointed out, once something is built, it's done and it's there forever. So I just would encourage you to consider all the points that these folks have made this evening. To me, the house is way too big. It's a precious piece of property. That corner is really important in the history of Concord, and the decisions you make will forever affect it. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Melissa. Let's see, other folks. I'm looking around for raised hands or people waving at me. Or any stars, star 9, Heather, anybody calling in? Okay, I don't see anybody. All right, last call. Any further? So you see our process here. We're going to have a site visit. This is the kind of project that can take several meetings to get through, just to get to a resolution. So I sense a bit of work ahead here. So
Peter, I do have some comments. I didn't know if this is for just a butters or.
Yep, hang on just a sec.
Sure,
Mike.
no problem.
Yep, that's all right. Let's see, I just want to make sure there isn't any more public comment. Okay, so I don't see any. Heather, you got any raised hands? All right, I'm just going to now bring it back to the commission. So Mike, you had additional comments.
Yeah, just a few. There were comments that this is the same plan that we presented the first time, and it is not. It's drastically different. The first plan was 3,800 square feet with 400 unfinished cold storage above garage. This plan is 3,400 square feet with 400 square feet of cold storage unfinished above garage. We also, the first plan was completely massed left to right, way up the front of the lot. So it would completely fill the front 194 feet, almost setback to setback. We drastically changed that. You only see 27 feet. You won't, it's 100 feet back from the front to where the garage connects, and you'll see a wider mass. Further, there was some other comments I think people made about trees. I've started a process with the town. If you're familiar with the tree bylaw, the town controls everything. So anything I'm removing, I'm putting back. So roughly, if we remove anything, we'll be putting back trees all over the place, and it'll look better than it looks right now. It just looks like a wild grown in the front.
Precisely, we love it.
I think there's also comments about they tried buying the lot from the developer, but my understanding is that they've never offered anywhere close to the value of the building lot. So it's been 6 years they could have bought this lot. Just like the owner out back, they've had 6 years to conserve that lot. I'd be very surprised if someone's making a $2 million gift on those other 2 lots out back there. Then I want to clarify what exactly you want from us for next meeting. I know you want a model. Would you like a landscape plan? Would that help? And we'll stake the lot, we'll stake the house. And would you prefer, I don't know if you can answer this, do you like the footprint at 60 feet back or 40 feet back? Because I can't, there'll be too many stakes staking both. I think the 40 feet back works a little bit better. But it doesn't matter to me, but do you have a preference on which one I stake?
Well, Mike, let me see if I can speak for the commission. We don't want to tell you what to do, frankly. I think you should present the design you want to us. I think in terms of presentation, though, I think a model is a great idea. We really do need to see this in 3 dimensions. No problem. I actually think, and a site plan, not just the plot plan, I think would help with that. Shows trees and the context.
Yeah, no problem. No, I'm going to work with you.
Okay, thank you. I also think, as I was listening to all the comments, I think some, and I'm not sure if it's, formal, fancy, photorealistic renderings, but rendered views that look at the property from Lowell Row and Lowell and Barrett's Mill, so that we can see where the house sits, kind of, get a kind of judgment of from the road and up against the next door
Sure. Well, I
neighbor.
think the site visit and the house staked out will be the best route
Okay,
for that.
that will definitely help.
No.
But I think that's what we're looking for. I think the site visit, and remember, we can't really discuss anything at the site visit. We can
Yeah.
have a little bit of a presentation.
No, I'll just walk you
from
through the
team.
stakes so you understand
Yeah,
the stakes.
we may ask a lot of questions and then we'll bring it back to the meeting. So just to be clear, I think you're going to see a motion soon to continue this to our October 7th meeting. And I just want to just reiterate to the folks on the call here that that is a public meeting. So folks are welcome to join all of us at that time. So Nancy, did you have another comment? I know we're a little bit, or there, we can't hear you though.
I have a question that would really help me understand. I overlaid the two plans that I have and looked at them through my window glass. And the footprint seems to be almost exactly the same. One is closer to the road and the other isn't. But other than that, is that correct? I have a revised 9-1.
I believe that's right. That's right, Nancy. One plan
Yeah.
pushes the house further back, one brings it
But
closer.
other than that, the footprint and everything is exactly the same, and the
That's
No,
right.
it's different. If it's different from our previous meeting, we had a meeting in August. It's
Oh, that was
drastically
not a
different.
formal meeting.
Correct.
Right.
I
Took
guess.
all their comments there and completely changed the plan.
So what was the date of that plan? This one is dated August 20th. And this is the one that's identical to the overlay of.
We threw those plans out, but I have them. I can get you that date, but that.
Yeah,
that was
these were on the meeting materials site.
Yes, this is the new plan. This plan is drastically different than the preliminary plan when we first were in front of the board.
So there's three plans altogether that the commission is.
The first one is gone. The first one we presented, they made some comments and we redesigned.
So
now
that's.
you have the same plan. It's exact same plan, moved 40
Just
feet
move
back.
forward. Okay.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
And I was unclear, are we going to see an illustrative depiction of how the house would look in context with the others?
Yes, that's what we're asking for.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, we can bring in a site plan of the entire corner.
Not a site plan, a graphic.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yep.
Peter, help me out. It's not a site plan. It's looking at the
no,
house. It's an illustration.
Yes, that's right. So Nancy, we've asked for additional materials. I think at least it's probably clear to you what we're looking for. A rendered site plan, a model, either 3D or physical model.
I mean,
views.
yeah, I mean, I'm going to do a physical model of the house.
Mhm.
I don't think I could do a physical model of the entire corner.
No, I think, but a site plan, not a plot plan.
Yes, we have
What
that.
we're
It's very
looking-
easy.
Yeah,
I think we understand.
Yes, we could definitely do the site plan and then, yeah.
And then I think the views with the house in the view if possible.
Site plan of the entire intersection.
Right.
Yeah, because we're going to need it at some point. I mean, there's no getting around it.
Righto. All right. Let me just see if are there any other comments from commissioners. I'm gonna thank folks for public comments. And Linda, I see you here. Linda is our select board liaison. Thank you for being here. Are there other comments from commissioners before we move this to a motion? Luis, Kate, Melinda, Dennis. I know we're a smallish crew.
Peter, there is one hand raised.
Aha. I think, Bill, your hand is raised. Do you want to speak?
It's a public
again?
comment. I'll
Yes.
try to keep it very brief. And this came up in the last, when we were talking about Archstone down Little Road. You know, we lost an old growth pine stand there of approximately 12 trees. And if you look across from Hildreth House at the old growth pine stand there, that's what we lost in that development. And when I approached the ATC on that issue, they had said, you know, you're about structure, not environmental preservation. But to the developer's recent point on we'll replace the trees, it's not, the equation doesn't balance. So when you cut down old growth trees, you lose carbon sequestration and water sequestration. And what happened, what Archstone did with the old growth trees, I guarantee you affected the perk level of that property. And so just something to bear in mind that you can't replace trees. And so the existing structure and the trees that are there on 615 Lowell Road, you can't replace with birches, maples, and small nursery trees. I'll leave it at that.
Understood.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. All right, why don't I look for a motion from the commission, if I could, please?
I move that we continue the application of 1615 Lowell Road to the meeting of October the 2nd.
Second.
So October the 7th.
7th, yes.
Yeah, with a site visit at 8 a.m. That in the morning that same day.
And could I get a second on that, please?
I'll second it.
All right, and let me go around and just get a vote. Luis?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Melinda?
Aye.
Dennis? Dennis is an aye and I'm an aye. All right, so we will see everyone in 3 weeks, it is, I think, at 8 a.m. And then that evening we'll be back. You'll be first on the agenda as our continued hearing. All right, thank you all for your contributions. And Mike, thank you for presenting. And Elise, thank you for your time. And I think that's probably a wrap on this particular application for this evening. Yes, Heather, have I missed anything here? Okay. All right, well, thank you, folks. We have a little bit of other business, but that was our last public hearing. So you're free to go and we'll see some or all of you soon. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
All right. And commissioners, thank you all, of course, for your excellent input there and discussion. And I hope the rest of us show up next time. These are much more exciting applications than when the whole group is here. Okay, so we have a little bit of additional business. We have some minutes, which I'm a little hesitant to approve only because Mia's not here. Luis, have you read through those minutes?
I read through both minutes and I cannot make any comments with the 8.5 because I wasn't physically present there, although I watched the video. So technically I can comment on them and I didn't find any issues with them. And neither did I with the 8.19 minutes. But again, Nia is my backup.
Did Nia have any comments, Heather?
The 8:19 minutes aren't done yet, are they?
I see the 8.5.
I don't
Okay,
see
you're
confess
right.
that the
You're right.
8.19 are not something from
I
the.
think you're right.
Nia didn't send me comments. She may have sent Heather comments.
Well, can we just table these for till the 3rd? I think, why don't we go ahead and
Sure.
do that? I don't think people, unless somebody specifically asks for them, I think we're okay.
Nope.
So why don't we table those for the moment? So the only other thing is, Luis, there are two things. One, I think I sent all of you, there's a comprehensive long-range plan. They're asking us for input from our perspective for a meeting. Oh gosh, when is it happening?
November sometime.
November. And
November 15th.
right, it's
Vision Concord.
Envision Concord. And I sent through the portion of the long range plan that talks about us. So I think we have a little bit of time here, but I guess I just want to reiterate, I'd like everybody to at least read through our section, the section that was written about us, and see if you have any thoughts, because I think as the chair, I'll just gather thoughts together and then we'll submit. And Heather, I think it's through you, correct, to Terry Ackerman?
Yeah.
We'll submit a summary of actions that we think the town ought to consider in the long range plan. So, I think it's a good chance for some input. This is obviously something important to this town. So, and we're being asked for input. So if you would please just review that and let me know if you have any thoughts or comments, and I'll check in every meeting and we'll set a deadline. I don't have a deadline in mind, sometime in October. And then the last thing would be, Luis, you attended the all chairs breakfast on Wednesday. Anything exciting happen there?
And just most of the routine presentations, I described what has been going on in our commission. There was some discussion about whether we were going to meet in person or by video. I stated that most likely we're going to continue having video meetings, or perhaps a hybrid meeting until the date determined by the town of April 1st, I believe, and that will be discussed among ourselves. There were the issues of the vacancies, which we have one now, and we're going to have another one comes January. And it was mentioned that the green cards are no longer green. They are called volunteers cards, and we are all encouraged to encourage people to put their names in so they can serve in some of the commissions of the town. And I don't think I'm forgetting anything. I wrote it down.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Luis? Thank you for attending on my behalf. I keep having Wednesday morning meetings scheduled in Boston, so.
Have
Kate,
we?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, have we talked at all? Is it up to us about whether to maintain Zoom or in-person meetings? I was just going to throw out there, on the one hand, I kind of miss the meetings in person. On the other hand, I think more of the public tunes in, even if they don't comment. It's sort of easier for our fellow citizens to kind of tap in, listen for a bit, which I think is a good thing. So.
Well, I think, and Kate, I have to tell you as a chair, I prefer a hybrid meeting if we're going to do that, which is what our church is doing. It's a little awkward, but it gives people the option to tune in.
Right.
We haven't quite figured out how to do it in terms of the Q&A piece, but, and I
Mhm.
know, Heather, there are two or three venues for hybrid meetings.
Actually, there are two. And I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. I was going to mention that one of the space we already use in Case Road, and the other one I think is the DPW, and maybe Linda can correct me if I'm wrong. But that was one of the issues discussed, and I mentioned that we were going to discuss it among ourselves. And my personal opinion is that probably a hybrid option would be very appropriate. And very much like Kate, I miss the personal contact.
Well, also, we're going to get into a little bit of trouble if we have a physical model and can't physically be there to look at it unless we're all on site. So that's what I mean. It's going to start to get become a little bit of an issue. And I know the new COVID guidelines have been drafted. And Linda, maybe could you tell us a little bit about that? What's happening with those guidelines?
So yes, another interesting meeting tonight, and good work on the part of all of you. The comment that was just made about the hybrid meeting, the CMLP conference room is the other site for a hybrid meeting. I can tell you that the select board, has held a couple of those hybrid meetings, and there is still difficulty in terms of being able to interact with the public that's on Zoom. We can do it, but it's not ideal. And in fact, the select board has decided to go on Zoom for their Monday meeting because we're expecting a larger than usual public audience. And there are still a number of people who are concerned, and particularly our venues cannot handle a large group without people being on top of each other. So that's where we are with that. And I think, having being a liaison to about 10 or 11 committees in town, I can tell you that the majority of them are remaining on Zoom.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Linda.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Luis, thank you for attending. Those meetings are always interesting, and I'm sorry I keep missing them. But
thanks for the privilege.
Any other comments from folks before we?
Peter, I had one comment I should have made earlier.
Yes, go ahead, Dennis.
when you were talking about the strategic plan, and it's something that's been bothering me, and it bothered me since, as you know, we approved the changes they're making at the corner of Walden and Hubbard, I believe, where they made a claim that that was I guess a dangerous corner because people cut across. As you remember, they couldn't answer how many accidents or how many people have been damaged at that corner. But my concern is, and if you take a look at the section, and I read it over a couple of times, that relates to the character of the streetscape in Concord. They talk about maintaining it, yet at the same time, the town is moving rapidly, but granite curbing everywhere, and to change the character of the town terribly. Matter of fact, I think it was on the road to, on the old road to 9 Acre Corner the other day, that at one of those sort of rural roads that goes off to the houses that are in Cananta and other areas, they put granite curbing there, a chunk of granite curbing. I know that the Haywood Meadow people have held it off. They've done a good job of keeping that rural, but I think we're in danger of losing the character of the town unless we think that granite curbing is an attractive addition to have everywhere in this community. As one old timer in Concord said to me a while back, if we're not careful, we'll end up looking like Wellesley. And that was not a compliment.
I heard that sharp intake of breath. Somebody.
That's how we got Heather. She fled Wellesley for strict direction.
Anyway, I think I say that only
she escaped
because I think
Wellesley.
all of you should take a look at that piece. Just focus on that, because it says in the plan we want to keep street character. I just want more definition about what that should be, and maybe we should have some input on that.
Okay. I think
Nancy wants to speak.
Go ahead, Nancy.
I knew there was a reason I was going to stay for the whole meeting. To Dennis's point, what's driving this with the highway people is something called complete streets. And it doesn't end with vertical granite curbing. It's big raised structures and formerly modest roads, flashing, crossing lights, lots of signs, all kinds of stuff, and really eating up the rural roads of Massachusetts in general. That's it. I'm going home.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nancy. I would, thank you, Dennis, for raising that. It also is interesting to me to list, because when you look at our guidelines, we have general guidelines, and then we have all these sort of specific things about fences and this and that and the other thing. And sometimes I feel like people look at one but not the other, not both. And both are important, because we have in the general guidelines, we talk about preservation goals and character and all. But, you know, if you go to the doors and doorways section, it doesn't really get into that level of discussion. So anyway, well, Dennis, I think that's one thing we could bring forth in this Envision Concord letter. You know, talk about not just goals, but things that we're seeing as challenges that need to be addressed. So.
Yeah, the corner, again, I don't want to belabor it, but the corner of Walden, as I said to you, Peter, the corner of Walden and Hubbard was a grant from the state going to look for a project, if you know what I mean. The money was available, they got it, then they had to find something to do with it. So I don't think that's a good way to proceed.
Never is. All right, I've kept you all past 9 o'clock. Are you tired of me yet?
No, keep talking, Peter, and talking and talking.
No, I think we should find something else to discuss. You know?
No, time for a glass of port, Elise. It's time for, you know, winding down. All right, well, listen, thank you all. That was a good meeting, I think, or a valuable meeting and good discussion on Lowell Road. So, and Heather, thank you for all your work as usual, and to Heather C as well. All right, folks, well, nice to see you all, even if it's in your little Zoom windows. And we'll see you sooner, if not later.
Motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm
all in favor, just raise your hand.
Aye.
All right. Good night, all.
Okay, good night.
Thanks, Heather. Thank you,
Bye,
Linda.
guys.